I've kept my daughter's kindergarten drawing of our family taped inside a cabinet for 9 years. There are 5 people in it, and there have only ever been 4 of us. For 9 years, I told myself it meant nothing. Kids draw extra people all the time. A grandpa, a neighbor, an imaginary friend with a smile too wide. Emma had drawn me, her dad, her baby brother, herself, and then a 5th figure standing off to the side. I only found it again because we were finally selling the house. I was pulling tape off the inside of the kitchen cabinet when I really looked at it for the first time in years. The 4 of us were holding hands in a row. The gray figure stood apart, near the little square she'd drawn as the hallway window. Under it, in shaky 5-year-old letters, she'd written the nighttime man. Emma is 14 now. I found her in her room and held the drawing up. "Do you remember drawing this?" She glanced at it and went still. "Where did you find that?" "Kitchen cabinet." "Who's the nighttime man, sweetheart?" She didn't laugh it off the way I wanted her to. She looked at the gray figure and her face did something I didn't like. "You told me he wasn't real," she said quietly. "So I stopped talking about him." "Emma, who was he?" "The man who stood in the hallway. He only came when it was dark. He'd stand outside my door and just watch until I fell asleep." She swallowed. "I thought all houses had one." My skin went cold. "You saw a man in our hallway when you were 5? "Not just then." She wouldn't meet my eyes. "Mom, I still see him sometimes." I actually laughed, because the alternative was worse. "Honey, that's a bad dream. We've lived here 11 years. There's no— Then why does the food go missing?" She said. "You blame Dad. Dad blames you. Nobody eats the crackers, but they're gone. Why is the attic hatch open some mornings when Dad swears he locked it?" I stopped laughing. That night I didn't tell my husband. I told him I was tired and going to bed early. Instead, I sat in the dark at the end of the upstairs hall with my phone, the flashlight off, and I waited. I felt insane. A grown woman staking out her own hallway because of a drawing. At 1:14 a.m., a slow, deliberate wait, moving across the attic toward the hatch above the hall. Then the soft click of the hatch cover being lifted. I stopped breathing. In the dark, I saw 2 legs lower down through the ceiling. Then a body, a man, dropping silently onto the hallway runner not 8 feet from me. He stood up. He was tall. He turned toward Emma's door. I turned my flashlight on. He froze in the beam. A gaunt man, filthy, wearing what I slowly realized were my husband's old clothes from the donation bags we'd stored in the attic. His eyes adjusted to the light, and he smiled at me like he knew me. "You're up late," he whispered. "You usually sleep through?" I screamed for my husband, and the man bolted. Not for the stairs, but back up, jumping for the hatch. My husband came out of our room and hit him around the waist before he could pull himself up, and the 2 of them crashed down into the hall. I was already dialing 911, screaming the address, while my husband pinned him and Emma stood in her doorway with her hands over her mouth, crying. I told you he was real. The police took 20 minutes, and it felt like 20 years. My husband kneeling on the man's back the whole time. The man not even struggling anymore, just lying there murmuring, "I've been so careful, I've been so careful." When they cuffed him and pulled him up under the hall light, I got a good look, and I understood why 5-year-old Emma had drawn him standing with us instead of as a monster. He had my husband's jaw, the same heavy brow. The officers ran him and came back to the door while the ambulance checked him over. "Ma'am, does the name Daniel mean anything to you?" "He says he's family." My husband went white. Daniel was his older brother. The one his parents told everyone had moved out of state 15 years ago. The one nobody visited, nobody photographed. The one my husband said had problems and left it there. When we bought this house from his parents, we bought it with him already living inside the walls. And for 11 years, he'd come down the hatch at night to stand over the family that had replaced him, eating our crackers, wearing our cast-offs, watching my daughter sleep. She'd drawn him honestly, the way she saw him. A 5th person in the family, standing a little apart, near the window, colored gray.